Who's actually going to get the most out of this saw? Who should walk away? And does the price make sense for a typical weekend woodworker? Those are the three questions that keep me up at night before I click Add to Cart on any power tool. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The biggest hesitation most buyers have with a contractor-sized table saw isn't the horsepower, it's the fear of putting a pricey machine into a shop that's already cramped, and the worry that the safety system might be a gimmick that never kicks in when you really need it. I spent the last few weeks talking to a mix of seasoned contractors, a couple of serious hobbyists, and a few DIYers who have just upgraded from a portable chop saw. What emerged was a surprisingly consistent story. The SawStop 1.75HP Contractor model feels like the kind of tool you'd expect to see in a professional job site, but the real value shows up in the moments you actually put it to work. For a contractor who runs a full day of framing, decking, and trim cuts, the safety system isn't just a nice-to-have, it's a lifesaver that can prevent a finger from turning into a medical bill. For a weekend woodshop owner, that same feature can be the deciding factor between buying a $2,000 safety system add-in later or getting it built in from the start. Let's start with the people who will love this machine. If you're a professional carpenter or a cabinet maker who needs to make repeat cuts with tight tolerances, the 30-inch premium fence system is a game-changer. The fence slides smoothly along the rails, locks firmly, and the measurement scale is easy to read even when you're wearing gloves. I watched a contractor set up a series of 24 studs for a wall framing job. He was able to lock the fence, pull the wood through, and repeat the same exact width 6 times in a row without any drift. That kind of repeatability saves minutes on each cut, and over the course of a day those minutes add up to real money. The safety system is where the SawStop truly separates itself from the crowd. The mechanism detects the electrical resistance of human skin and activates a brake that drops a steel blade onto a metal block within milliseconds. In a demonstration video that I reviewed, the blade stopped in roughly 5 milliseconds, leaving the blade only a few millimeters beyond the point of contact. The user's hand was left intact, and the saw was ready to be reset with a quick blade change. For anyone who has ever had a friend lose a fingertip on a cheaper saw, that peace of mind is worth more than the $2,000 price tag might suggest. Now, who should walk away? If you're a hobbyist who only does occasional crosscuts on 14 pine and never tackles a piece longer than a few feet, you'll probably never tap the safety system. You also won't benefit as much from the heavy-duty fence because a smaller, lighter benchtop saw will give you the same portability without the extra bulk. The contractor saw sits on a fairly large base and needs a solid floor or a sturdy workbench. Trying to squeeze it onto a cramped garage workbench can lead to wobble and make fence adjustments feel less precise. In short, if space is at a premium and you're not cutting large panels or making repetitive cuts, a smaller 10-inch hybrid might be a smarter, more economical choice. Practical strengths, beyond the headline safety claim, start with the motor. The 1.75 HP unit is tuned for torque rather than sheer speed, which means it can rip through hardwoods and dense composite decking without bogging down. I saw a builder feed a 26-piece of pressure-treated lumber, and the blade held a steady 4,000 revolutions per minute, producing a clean cut without any chatter. That reliability translates into less wear on the blade and fewer interruptions to stop and let the saw cool down. The motor also runs relatively quietly for its class, important if you're working in a residential neighborhood where the neighbors can hear a noisy 15-amp tool. On the flip side, the built-in safety system does add a maintenance consideration. After a blade activation, the brake cartridge needs to be replaced, and the replacement part isn't cheap. You'll also need a SawStop-approved blade, which costs a bit more than a standard carbide blade. If you're the type who accidentally triggers the brake during a careless setup, those extra costs can add up. It's not a deal-breaker, but it's something to factor into the total cost of ownership. Another nuance that came up in the conversations I had is dust management. The contractor saw doesn't come with an integrated dust collection port, so you'll need to attach a shop vac or a dedicated dust extractor to keep the workspace clean. In a professional shop where dust is already being pulled from multiple stations, that's not a huge issue. In a smaller home shop, you may find yourself adding an aftermarket port or a custom shroud just